Sure, sounds perfect. Anyway, yeah, nice to meet you. I'm Caraway, the owner of the Fear versus Greed Discord server, and today we're having DeFirm, and our honored guest is Archibald. Say hello to everybody, Archibald.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us. My notifications are kind of going crazy right now. I'm going to try and get that muted.
Yep, you gotta mute those. That'll never end.
Yeah, those are kind of going crazy right now with the pings. But it's
You're,
a pleasure. My name is Archibald. I'm the founder and dev here at DeFirm Finance, and I'm thrilled to talk to you all about our protocol.
yeah, I can't wait. Hey, wish you were LeVar Burton wants to hop on stage. If you don't mind, I'm inclined to let him. He's a very valued member of Fear versus Greed.
Absolutely.
Hey Archibald, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Pleasure to meet you, LeVar.
It's all right. If you don't mind, if I just start off with some questions, or
Oh, I don't mind at all. We can get right into it.
sure. Okay. So I was looking at your docs. I see that you are starting by buying up Airbnb properties.
Yes, indeed.
So Airbnb is off chain, as we all know.
Yeah.
So how would the a retail investor like verify the funds you get from renting coming back into the protocol?
Yes. So that's part of the regulations. So one thing we want to be very careful of is not being classified as a security. So if we were to directly have the investors as a beneficiary to the properties, we would be considered a security, and that would entail a completely different process. And that's not what we're doing and not what we're going for. So therefore, the rewards are redistributed in form of the DFirm token, and that would be in the same structure, in the same proportion to how the real estate rewards would be paid out in real life.
Okay, so when we're paid out is through the native token and not like cash.
No, yes, exactly, not through direct US dollars.
Would that be the same as your NFTs a little farther down your roadmap?
Yes, and that's exactly how that's going to tie in. So the DFirm token is separate from the NFTs. The NFTs are what are representational of the real estate. The DFirm token is the utility token of the ecosystem and is how the rewards are paid off early on.
So what I'm hearing is just because of regulatory law, it'd be pretty hard to pay out dividends.
Exactly, and they can't be direct dividends.
Okay. I'll let someone else step up if they'd like to.
Yeah, good questions.
Yeah, appreciate that.
While Camzo's on stage, let's go ahead and get his questions too. Camzo, if you're there, go ahead and chime in. Okay. Oh, here he is.
Um, good evening, all. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. Pleasure to meet you.
Um, I actually don't have any question to ask. I'm just listening.
Okay. Okay. Well, you raised your hand. That's fine. If you have any questions, chime in. Okay.
Yeah, just let us know. We're happy to answer any questions at all.
Okay, sir. Okay.
And I'm trying to find out where these pings are coming from. I apologize for the constant pings there. I'm trying to really mute basically all these different servers I'm a
You're
part
gonna
of.
be. Oh no! Don't do it like that. Click on the gear icon and then go down to It says something like sounds or something. Uh,
Yeah, in your settings,
Yes,
go to
yes,
Discord server settings.
I don't see
I'm doing
exactly what
that
setting
right
it
now.
is. Is it voice and
Yeah,
video?
it's under notifications. I found it
Oh,
here.
it's under. Yeah, yeah. Do it. You'll be
Yeah,
much happier, man.
yeah,
For the
yes,
rest of
yes,
your
I
life,
appreciate
you'll
it.
Yeah,
be a happier
Yeah,
person.
no, 100%. I just totally forgot about that. I knew about it, just didn't think about it.
yeah.
I was just on the spot here on stage.
I hope that you're not trying to code with those notifications. Ting,
No, no, no,
ting.
no. No, no, no. Appreciate it. All right, should be under control now.
Okay, great. Well, let's go ahead and well, first of all, I'm gonna let you, introduce the project, but what is the first date like that investors, potential investors should be aware of?
Well, there's no hard date yet, but next week we are officially announcing our seed round, and that will really be the first opportunity for investors to get in.
When you say
So
announcing it, you mean you're
that's really
announcing the
to
date
be.
next week?
We're announcing the date next week. That's to
Gotcha.
be announced, and it'll be shortly after the announcement.
Okay, so basically today is what? It's the 24th, it's Tuesday. People need to check
Yep.
in about a week from now and they should expect to see a seed sale announced and soon, very soon.
In about 5 days. Yes, very soon. Very soon.
Okay, I hope that you'll give people at least a few days. One of the things that I has been a pet peeve of mine because I track so many projects and I track them for other
Right.
people is that if somebody only gives like 1 day's notice, I mean, there have been times I checked the server at 5 p.m. They made an announcement at 5:05 p.m. and they launched like 20 hours later and I missed it. And it's like, if I'm missing it,
Yeah.
other people are missing it too.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely. We plan on giving everyone a good amount of notice, 100%. It's very important.
Okay,
And
cool.
I've been there myself.
Well, go ahead and launch into it. Go ahead and give us a quick overview of who you are and your vision.
Absolutely. So thank you for asking. So my name is Archibald. Once again, I'm the founder here at DeFirm Finance and the dev as well. And I'm thrilled to talk to you about our protocol. And so basically, we're actually the first auto staking protocol on the Avalanche network to implement real estate into our ecosystem. And so our primary function is to leverage the high returns of crypto and DeFi and rotate them into secure real estate investments that reliably grow the intrinsic value of our DAO. And see, we're going to be acquiring this real estate under our DAO LLC, and this LLC is going to be established in Wyoming. And that's because it really has the most compliant regulations for what we're doing. And in the future, investors of all sizes are going to be able to purchase fractionalized shares of our investment properties through our NFTs. And that really gets rid of all the need for the paperwork, the agents, the hidden expenses, and investors are able to get in on real estate. And see, the value of these NFTs are going to be basically pegged to the value of the underlying assets, which are the properties, and can also be traded from peer to peer on the open market. And this creates another revenue stream for the protocol through royalties. Now, this is all coming in the future with the property purchases as well. And so, to start off, we're launching our utility token, which is the DeFirm token, and it has a similar structure to protocols you've seen in the past, like Sphere Finance, Seifu, and Titano. It's an auto staking, auto rebasing protocol. But the difference with ours is, we have we have sustainability in mind. And so with that, we're starting with an APY of 10,000%, and we also have a maximum supply. And so this is really just in place to reward the early holders of the DeFirm token. And so those are the two main components to our ecosystem: is the DeFirm token and the NFTs, which are pegged to the real estate. And the DeFirm tokens will also be used as reward payouts basically in the first phase of the protocol. And then as the max supply is emitted into circulation, the APY also reduces. This is for sustainability purposes, and also because eventually we will reach the max supply into circulation, and then we'll be transitioning into stablecoin rewards. And that's really the whole premise of the DeFirm ecosystem. And we have a long-term vision, of course, of expanding the properties under the DAO LLC and expanding the type of rewards that investors can have. And all the profits and basically all of the revenue from the real estate is supporting the whole ecosystem, supporting the protocol.
Can I hop in here with a question?
Absolutely.
You mentioned fractionalized ownership via NFTs, but you also have the
Yes.
token. Won't the
Yes.
NFTs take profits from the token holders?
No, not necessarily. What do you mean by that?
Well, I imagine that the NFT holders will be getting some profit sharing from whatever property that they are owning, correct?
Right.
But isn't that profit that comes that would otherwise have gone to the token?
No, not necessarily. And so the reason because the reason for that is because we have multiple revenue structures already built into the protocol even before the properties land. So basically, properties, and in all reality, the revenue from the real estate isn't too exciting until it's really scaled up. For instance, like an Airbnb property in Miami, which is where we want to start, would be yielding close to $350 a day. And in comparison with some of the crypto investments that we're going to be having, that isn't necessarily a big amount until it's really scaled up. And so we're going to also have, of course, buy and sell taxes. We're also going to, of course, have the NFT as we mentioned, and so there's royalties from trading on the open market. And we're also trying to implement quantum liquidity as well. So we've also had so a few talks with Sim of Sphere Finance, and quantum liquidity is something that we want to implement as well. And so having these revenue structures all really circulate and come back to the protocol. And so it's not just the real estate; it's the entire ecosystem that rewards both the holders of the NFT and the holders of the DeFirm token.
Okay, I understand. Did you want to continue, or do you want me to just launch into an assault of questions here?
Oh yeah, you can bring on the questions.
I lost my train of thought. Well,
All right,
tell us.
I'll
Okay,
finish
I
it
think
if you
LeVar
need it.
Burton's here.
Yeah. So you said before when you were mentioning the tokenomics, 10,000% APY for a year,
Yes.
so a million tokens turns to 100 million in and then you say it was payout in stable coins afterwards.
Yes, and that's going to be down the line.
Okay. So what happens? Well, I know the rebase ends, but how's
Yes.
the 200% APY hold like with stable coins? I guess is what I'm trying to.
Yeah, so basically, even if let's say all the tokens were held and hodled for 365 days, they wouldn't all be emitted into circulation. And so basically, for the first about 2 years, we have the exact calculations. I'll have to talk to our lead dev. But for at least the first 2 years, the maximum supply won't be emitted. And once we do transition into stablecoin rewards, again, we're going to be drawing those from our revenue structures, from the buy and sell taxes, from the quantum liquidity, from the real estate investments. And by that time, we plan on having our real estate investments really scaled up. And we plan on getting into commercial real estate and just different types of real estate and really expanding on that front. And those would be where the stablecoin reward payouts come from.
Okay. So at a year, the bullet minutes isn't complete. It's just that's when you're ramping down the APY.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Good question. Thank you, LeVar Burton.
Thank you.
Do you know who LeVar Burton is, Archibald?
I actually don't.
He is Geordi from Star Trek.
Oh wow, that's really cool. It's a
Do
pleasure.
you know who I'm talking about, right? With the visor?
I don't. I haven't really watched Star Trek like
He's
that, but I know Star Trek.
the host of Reading Rainbow. Do you remember
It,
Reading Rainbow?
not familiar with Reading Rainbow,
It was a
unfortunately.
kids show from the 80s on PBS. He was the star of Roots.
Wow.
Do you know, ever heard of Roots?
Roots.
Man, I'm
Unfortunately,
striking
no.
it. I'm
I've heard of
striking out
Roots.
here. That's three.
Yeah.
That's three strikes, and I'm
This
out.
is heartbreaking. Like I was surprised that no
Yeah. I
one
think.
knows
I
who this
think
dude
perhaps
is.
yeah, it's a culture difference. I think.
What? Tell us about your culture, Archibald. Like, I'd like to
Yeah.
know a
That's
little bit more about yourself as well. I know that you're the lead dev and you're the owner. What is your
yes.
experience in real estate?
Oh yes, absolutely. So really I'm really kind of the director of everything. I've curated the team, and so in my personal experience, I haven't been involved in real estate to like an extensive amount, but we do have a real estate board with over decades of experience, with over 10, 20 years of experience. For instance, Lori, she's been in real estate for the last 10 years, and she's really on the ground and is handling all the real estate side, and me and the team is handling the crypto side of
I
things.
guess
And so we,
let me stop you right there. Do you want to go ahead and just tell us a little bit about your team? Because I take it Lori is your real estate person on the ground. But did you want to go ahead and
yeah,
talk about
Lori's
who else is on your team?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So we're about a seven-person team right now, and we're still expanding. We get applications every single day, and so we have our team basically split into two sectors primarily. And there's the real estate side, and there's the crypto side. And so there's about three of us on the crypto side, three devs, me and two others, and there's four on the real estate side of things. And so we have a agent in Florida right now who's on the ground and scouting for our first property in Miami. And we have Lori, who's the lead of our real estate team. We also have Zin, who is an advisor with us, and we also have Jumpman in our Discord, who's an advisor as well, and has been involved in real estate for a long time. And then on the crypto side of things, it's me. And then we also have Alexander. He's had extensive experience. He's been involved in crypto he's been a dev for the last 7 years. So basically, early on from when everything started. And he also has an assistant that works with him. And then we have Rahib, who is basically our front end dev. He designed the website and kind of designs, the aesthetics for our protocol.
I love the animated banner that you guys sent me, and by the way, it looks awesome over the video that I'm making. I doubt you've seen any of my
Oh, that
AMAs, but
was
I use.
CRI. That was CRI. We appreciate that a lot. He actually did that for free. Somebody actually sent that to us for free, and then he started basically working for us and sending us basically is our lead graphic designer now. So that was really cool. We appreciate that.
Wait till you see how good it looks on the YouTube video. It's perfect, perfect.
Looking forward to it. That's awesome.
Okay, tell me more about where you're going to be looking for properties and purchasing properties, and what kind of properties you're looking for. What is your price range? Like, tell me all about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're excited to talk about that. So we want to start in North America before branching out to the rest of the world. We do plan on having this as a global operation, like in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scope of everything. But we're starting right now in Florida because we see a lot of opportunity, and we want to start with vacation rentals because that's something that can bring cash flow off the rip. And so we have our real estate board that really vets properties, and they all do basically a vote on it. And we have somebody on the ground who conducts due diligence, and we make sure to find the best cash flowing properties for our investment. And if ever the opportunity comes to maybe make a flip or go in other directions, we're not opposed to that as well. But we want to start off with vacation rentals and really scale that up so that we can have a good cash flow, coming from off chain assets as well.
I stayed in an Airbnb, I guess last year. It was in the mountains by a lake, and it was basically a cabin. It was of modern construction. I mean, the thing was probably like 3 years old. It was probably like 600 square feet, but then they had an outhouse, okay? And this outhouse, like, yeah, the bathroom was not in the cabin. The outhouse itself had three showers, two inside, one out, completely climate controlled. It's like a modern outhouse. Very big. When you think of an outhouse, I'm talking about two separate bathrooms and a foyer with like coat hangers and a sink and outside shower, grill, blah blah blah
Wow,
blah. I looked into it. I looked into it deeply because I actually um, I'm into real estate. I mean, it's one of my hobbies, and
that's awesome.
they got this whole thing. They got the property for, I don't know. I don't want to say what state it was in, but in a very inexpensive state, probably top 10 least expensive states. Um, the whole thing, brand new construction with the property was like 130,000. And
Wow.
I
Probably
stayed,
somewhere in the south.
I'll say it's in a mountainous region. Um,
Okay.
you know, uh, um, It cost, I guess, we stayed there for 3 days. Oh, by the way, it was incredible. One of the best Airbnbs I ever stayed at. There was food
Mm.
there. There was so much food. I mean, there was a freezer and a refrigerator in a separate, a third building. Stop. Anyway, like we paid like $119 a night or something, um, which was only slightly higher than like the cheapest hotels. Uh,
Well,
and they were completely fully booked up. I mean, they were
yeah, it's
making
competitive.
this property was probably making $250,000 a year for an initial investment of like 130,000 and like 4 months of labor. And the people that I met, the
Yep.
people that ran
We see
it,
the opportunity.
there's huge opportunities. I looked at a property. I tried to buy a property, and I talked to the woman that owned it. Because what happened was the property, they hadn't been paying the taxes for some years, and it was going up for auction. And I contacted the owner, and I said, what's going on? Like, do you guys need money? I mean, are you guys like hurting real bad? You know what I mean? I don't want to see you guys lose your property. Maybe we can work something out.
Right.
And the woman said, no, she said they're going to pay the taxes. They just don't, they're just lazy. She said that they bought that property 5 years ago for $60,000. This was like,
Wow.
yeah, like 2.3 acres, like a 1,200 square foot house with a working well, working septic, blah, blah, blah. 60,000 bucks 5 years ago.
Wow.
And she said that they've already made a 3x. So a lot of people don't understand that real estate is actually it's both more lucrative and less lucrative than it seems. It's more lucrative because you can get these great returns, but it's less lucrative because you need to have somebody hunting opportunities. Like opportunities do not just fall into your lap. You have to
Exactly.
hunt for them, and you have to work. What did somebody say? Luck is the combination of preparation and I forget the rest of it. But go ahead and take it. I can tell you
Skill.
want to say a few things. Go ahead and take it, Archibald.
Oh no, I just agree with you. I agree with you completely. Like there's just such a big opportunity in real estate, and it's just such a proven asset class, like from year to year. And I just agree. I didn't have really much more to say on that, but I'm glad that you really touched on that.
Oh, it's a great idea. Many projects in DeFi have tried to do real estate, and none of them that I know of have really had the right um, magic combination of ingredients. Um, I wish that your real estate person could have been here today, but I understand that people are busy and there's a lot of AMAs to do, and there's a
Exactly.
lot of scheduling conflicts like constantly. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so I totally get that. Where do you want? Let's check the chat room. I think there's some good questions. Can we pivot to some audience questions?
Absolutely.
Crypto Miners says, what prevents your coin tanking on launch?
From tanking on launch.
Yes.
Well, so basically, we indeed still have, of course, our sell taxes. That's not something that we really anticipate. However, we don't really have like a launch day sell tax. We can still implement that by all means. That's something that we're going to look into. But this is really a long-term project. We understand that with all launches, there's really going to be, people who are looking for, whitelist hunters who are looking for just a quick multiple and, try to get out. And that's, we're ready for that. And that's normal. This is really a long-term project. And the value really comes as we scale and as we grow. So we're not really worried about that. But we will look into anti-whale mechanisms to implement at least perhaps for the first week. We could increase our sell tax for the first few days and have it decrease perhaps by like 5% every single day. And that's something the core team is going to have a word about. But overall, we're not too worried about that because we are a long-term project.
Tell me about your pre-sale structure versus your launch price, all that stuff.
Well, that's yet to be announced, right? We don't have our launch date yet and like our soft cap and hard cap, but that's all going to be announced soon.
Can you, I understand a little deeper, I think, than most. There are fixed costs. For instance, marketing is a fixed cost. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Actually, the more money you raise, the more money marketing costs because some of the more clever marketers know you've got money.
Right.
So that's one of the issues that people don't really
Account for.
they don't have no clue unless until you launch a project and you see what's going on.
Yeah,
Um,
however, we are onboarding a marketing manager who's going to kind of take over the entire marketing campaign leading up to our sales and our launch. So we're not too worried about that. He's very experienced. I'm not sure if he gave me the go ahead to name drop him yet because it's not like official, but he is going to be our marketing manager moving forward. Very popular name in DeFi. He's been a part of very many popular projects that sold
yeah,
out,
good for you
and
guys.
he's going to be our marketing manager.
And
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
by
that.
the way, I love the where DeFirm is like you capitalize the F to emphasize the DeFi, DeFirm, DeFi, DeFirm. I tried to
Absolutely.
with DreamFi, I was thinking something like DeFi think DreamFi and like try to like get the
Oh,
something like that. Oh, did you like that?
yeah, clever plan works. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's catchy.
Yeah.
It's catchy. That's important. That's a big thing in this space.
Yeah, tell me, let's go back to more questions because one thing when I'm in an AMA and I'm like asking questions, I like it when people read them fast before I have to go. Is there a cap
Right.
on the amount of NFTs that would be tied to one project slash property?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking. There's going to be between 100 and 500 NFTs minted per property, depending on the price of the property and the monthly returns on that property.
How much will the NFTs cost?
So the NFTs, again, as their the amount is in conjunction with the price of the house, the NFTs are going to be split up of the cost of the actual asset.
Well, let's just say, okay, let's say that you're looking for to spend $250,000. You need to raise the money before you can start making offers. So, what would the NF, or is that not what you're thinking? So, how much would the
No,
NFTs
that's not.
cost?
Yeah, so we're not going to be using, like, for instance, we're not going to be using the NFT mint to go ahead and buy the property. We'd have the property first, and then we'll introduce the NFT mint based on the property we just purchased. So, like, for instance, if we have a $300,000 property and let's see, divide it into, just to make it easy, 300 NFTs, and they'd be at 1,000 each, right?
Right, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So you're gonna buy the properties first. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
you have to have the you gotta have the money in your hand. Otherwise, if you make an offer, people are like, who are you?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. So we're gonna have the asset first. We're gonna have the property first, and it gives us, it gives us a lot of power, and we have a lot of, say in how we want to kind of run it and structure it. So we have the asset first, and then we'd sell the NFT, exactly based on the cost, and we can, emit rewards based on how many NFTs you have and different things like that.
let's see. Uh, there's a bunch of questions here. Let me choose one. Um,
If I can butt in for just a quick second,
yeah.
Yes.
because you brought up NFTs and it gave me an idea. So at this point, you're going to work through Airbnb to rent properties. Is there any
Yeah.
at any point where you would make your own Airbnb, to put it simply?
Oh, like have our own, basically like have our own app for it, our own service, our own
Yeah,
rental service.
instead of a third party provider.
Yes, down the line, we do want to have basically our own brand of vacation rentals and on vacation properties. But to start off, we're going to be using the Airbnb platform just for the ease of access. But that is something that we want to get into down the line. For instance, in the future, we want to be able to, purchase apartment complexes or apartment buildings, and we really have it be in the DeFirm structure. So
Oh my
yeah,
God,
thanks for asking.
I saw a 4 unit brick apartment building in a college town, and it went for $60,000. And
Wow.
yeah, and who knows what the condition of this building was in, but the location was incredible,
Proud.
and it was like it was big. It was 5,600 square feet of living space. It was four 1,400 square foot apartments in one building.
Wow.
And there was more space than that. I mean, there was a utility rooms and etc. It was yeah, and I was sorry. I looked at that one and I looked at it for about 10 minutes and it was sold.
Wow.
Yeah, it was
I'm
great.
not surprised at all. I'm
The
not surprised at all.
No,
But yeah,
the
huge
back of the
opportunities.
building was right up against the mountain, meaning there's like hundreds of acres of wilderness that somebody owns it, but nobody's can build on it because you can't build on a mountain unless you want to spend millions of dollars.
Right.
Um, anyway,
Right. This highlights the importance of our real estate board, and so we're really serious about expanding our real estate board, and they play a very important role because they do the due diligence on the properties and make sure we're getting really the best deals. Whenever deals might pop up in the market in different states, we'll know right away and we'll get on it. So
um, LeVar Burton, if you have another question, go ahead and chime in.
Sure. You mentioned buying apartments and like housing for people. I've apparently, not apparently, for permanent stay, probably.
yes, that once again that would be something down the line as a greater scope of things. But to start off, we're going to be starting off with the vacation rentals, but we want to expand
Okay.
and not only be tied down to that long term.
All right. So, in this hypothetical where you do buy like housing for people, what would you do with like low income housing, or how would you comply with that with whatever county or municipality like mandates that you had to have so many units for low income?
Yeah, well, with that, we wouldn't necessarily be doing the low income housing. We would be selling. We could be, for instance, selling units to other investors, and then we can have, the condo fees or HOA fees, not HOA fees, but condo fees that we collect, for providing those units. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the traditional structure. If it was something like an apartment building or apartment complex, like we mentioned, we would likely be going in that structure. It would still be, like you said, like kind of low income, but we would get that we would be selling those units and kind of get that liquidity out in a way, especially if it was like a project like Caraway mentioned where it wasn't in the best shape and we kind of fixed it up and then we were to sell the units. A structure like that would be more something that we're looking for.
Okay. So it would be more about flipping property than owning it long term, if I heard that
And
correct.
well, yes, once again, that's for down the line. If we were to do that again, we would own the building and sell the units to investors.
Okay. Another question, just in the hypothetical, I realize it's a long time down the line, but now would there owning an NFT entitle you to use the property in any way?
No, however, we do have special benefits and bonuses. For instance, with our at least with our Genesis Mint, we're having you get a 7 day free stay at one of our vacation rentals if you mint one of the NFTs. And we're just gonna have different benefits and perks, but there's not gonna be any type of long term access to the property. Once again, this is to really remain within regulations. And we don't want to be considered a security, and that's again why the holders aren't direct beneficiaries of the property. They get paid out through the protocol.
Okay. And that 7 day giveaway, that would be through
That'd be
Airbnb.
through Airbnb through a voucher.
Okay. I'm good if you want to continue, Caraway.
Hey, hang on just 1 second, guys. Not right now, sweetheart. Thank you very much. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
Sometimes you have a wife, and so, sometimes she asks you a question right when somebody else does. Um,
Right.
so L Marble asks a question that ties directly into what LeVar Burton was asking you. He says, "How long after launch will you start investing in real estate?" And that's a great, great question. It's so important.
Well, we're already looking right now. As soon as possible, if it was up to us, we would have a property before launch. So the answer to that is directly after launch. I would say probably within 2 months after launch.
Probably in 2 months after launch.
or so.
Um,
Yes.
okay. And what degree of transparency? That's not really the right question because transparency is a connotation that I really don't care about. What I'm sort of asking is, are you guys going to be providing updates such as, "Hey guys, this house just came on the market, and
Oh,
and we're looking
absolutely.
into it."
Absolutely. So, matter of fact, as announced in our Discord a few days ago, we're going to be presenting the entire Discord with a short list, and that's the first crop of properties that we're really looking at, and we can see the revenues of each property and the upside of the area that we're investing in, and a whole bunch of different things. Our real estate board is going to be presenting an entire report for each property, why we're looking at it, how much it could potentially make us, the taxes, and all the details that it takes, to acquire the property, and everyone's really going to have an inside view on that. And we're also going to be fully transparent about the revenues of each property and so on and so forth. So that's how it's going to be structured.
That'd be awesome. There's going to be a lot of excitement that builds up if
Absolutely,
the
that's part of it.
that's it's great that you guys can share that with your I hate to say the word investors. I'm just gonna start saying it. I mean, I don't know. I always said
The
investors,
community,
but now that I
the
have my
community,
own project, people keep telling me don't say investors, say users, say members, say community.
right?
Um,
Community,
it's so messed up. Anyway, let's not get off on a
yeah,
tangent.
right.
But that is one of the joys of real estate investing for anybody, whether you are a billionaire like Carl Icahn or a person purchasing your first property, is the thrill of seeing it, the thrill of obtaining it, and the thrill of seeing the money start to come in.
Absolutely. And before there was just such a high barrier to entry, right? Real estate is so illiquid. Real estate it requires a lot of capital up front, and doesn't necessarily you don't necessarily see that capital back for quite some time. And so it's definitely like an intimidating asset class to try and get into. And so that we want to kind of make that easier.
We have a question. So, how does payback work? Have you taken into account the days that a property won't be rented, management fees, cleaning, maintenance, and so on?
Yes, again, just like we mentioned, that's all going to be in the report. So our real estate board is going to do an in-depth analysis in the report for everyone to see. It's going to be part of our shortlist, and we have there's resources such as AirDNA where you can really get the analytics for the properties in whichever area that we're looking at, and so we're gonna have all of that really kind of analyzed, and we're gonna have projections on the numbers before we even purchase the property.
Let's
Question about the DAO portion of your project.
Yeah,
So, with the the token itself, you say is a governance token.
yeah, the
Would
utility token.
Okay. Would we be able to vote on like specific properties, like
Yes,
uh,
that would be more. Yes, the governance will be in tiers. Really, it would especially be for the NFT holders would have the most say. Ultimately, our real estate board is the one who really curates the list of properties. However, once again, members with governance do have a say, and we of course always listen to the community and see whatever they have to say. And it's not only governance towards the property that we're purchasing; it's also the direction that we take as a protocol on the crypto side of things as well. But again, it's a tiered system, which would really be kind of starting with the NFT holders who are really holding fractionalized shares of the real estate.
so no one can just say, "Look, I want to
Yeah,
buy the
no,
Brooklyn
no,
Bridge."
it wouldn't be like that. And of
Yeah.
course, our real estate board is actual, real estate professionals. But again, we do respect the opinion of the community.
Okay.
let me see what other questions we have here. Um, where do you get the inspiration for this project? That's a good question, and I hope that you'll comment on other ideas that you considered but rejected in favor of the real estate component?
Well, I've always been a crypto enthusiast. I've always loved crypto from the very beginning. And one thing about crypto is, they say you can't spell crypto without cry, right? You're either gonna cry of happiness or you're gonna cry of pain, right? And so I've been blessed to see, the great things that can happen with crypto. And unfortunately, I've seen, a lot of my friends and other users in the space get wrecked as well. So there's a lot of volatility, and but there's also so much opportunity in crypto, and real estate is also another asset class that I've always been passionate about. Right, real estate is something that is just so proven, it's so solid, and it's undeniable real world utility. And so, with some of these protocols in our same style, specifically like the auto staking protocols, some of these treasuries yield a ridiculous amount of capital every single day, and they don't necessarily all give back to the protocol in a sense. In my personal opinion, I'm not calling out any specifics, but the treasury would be used in different ways, and I feel like crypto can really be leveraged and rotated into more secure asset classes that still bring a reliable return like real estate. And that's really how the idea all came about. And we've seen a few other real estate DAOs, but none really doing our exact mission in our way. And so that's really how the whole idea came about. And I feel like also eventually everything is going to be on chain. And real estate is something that's very important, and crypto can make it a lot more accessible to the public, because crypto the whole premise of crypto and decentralization really brings more power to the people, and real estate is something that has been unaccessible and hard to access for most people, and with crypto we can help change that. And so that's the whole vision and inspiration for DeFirm Finance.
I hope that answers your question.
I hope so.
Crypto miners, and thank you for all the questions. Those were all really good questions, by the way. I guess now's a good time to. Can you describe the giveaway that we are doing? We should have done this at the beginning, but I forgot, so I
Yes.
apologize.
No worries, no worries. And I guess I did as well. So we're gonna be giving away $100 in DFirm tokens, launched, airdropped at launch to somebody here in the audience, and we're also gonna be giving away 5 whitelist spots. So I guess that's almost basically enough for everyone, because I believe Falcon here, Zin, and El Marble all already have whitelist spots. So I guess everybody else who's here gets a whitelist spot, and we can randomly draw for the $100 in DFirm. So I'm not sure if you wanted to do that and announce that.
Let me go ahead and say that one more time, and I will get an announcement out. Although, yeah, go ahead and say that one more time.
Sorry, like the whole thing.
Well, just exactly what the giveaway is. He said it's a
Yep. So the giveaway is going to be $100 in DFirm. It's going to be airdropped to the winner at launch.
okay. Okay, so the winner of the giveaway will receive $100 in DFirm native token, correct?
Yep.
At launch. Um, and I'll just say that if you ask a question that has not already been asked, you will receive triple consideration in the drawing. Don't you think that's fair?
All right. I like that.
Um, Actually, let's just change it so that you have to ask a question, right?
All right.
What percentage of profits would NFT holders get? This is such a uh, straightforward question. I love it. Let's say that the property is 300K and you sell 300 NFTs and at $1,000 each. Um, what percentage of the profits do the NFTs receive?
Yeah, it's going to be exactly proportional to how many NFTs they hold and to how much revenue the property is generating. So let's say you own half the NFTs. Let's say there's 100 NFTs in the property line, and you own 50 of them. You're getting half of the revenue generated
So how
on
do
top of bonuses coming from the protocol.
how do you guys compensate yourselves?
Yeah, and so again, we have our revenue structures. So we have the buy and sell taxes, as well as the real estate, and we're gonna have basically a percentage that goes back into the protocol. This does include, marketing, paying staff, and such, and yeah, so that's really coming from our war chest. However, we're not focused on staff income, especially in the first phase. We're really reinvesting everything into the protocol and into scaling the real estate operation is really what takes precedence and takes priority. But outsourcing, of course, we have to pay our dev, and we have to pay marketers, of course, YouTubers, influencers. But that's really going to be the lion's share of where profits go into really growing the DAO.
Does that answer your question, title? We have another question coming in called "Who owns the pro?" And title says yes. He says, "Who owns the property?"
Yes, so the property is going to be owned under the Dow LLC. Again, the Dow LLC is going to be established in Wyoming. So the property is going to be owned by the DeFirm LLC, which is the LLC control. The LLC is controlled by the team, but the property is going to be under the LLC. Oh, I think Caraway said he'll be right back. I hope that answers your question. I can go ahead and have a look at the questions list here.
If you need me to vamp, I'll be here.
Yeah, no worries.
But I think his next question was, if the project was to fold, what would happen to the property? And an addendum, what prevents you from walking away for the properties and leaving the NFT holders with just NFTs, basically?
We're not going to do that. If the properties were to be sold, and in the event that a property gets sold, first off, if the whole premise of having the real estate is to always have that intrinsic value and always have that floor price. So basically, from the time of having our first property, we're not going to basically go to zero. There's no way that we're going to go to zero because we're always going to be growing the floor price of our protocol, whether it's through the real estate revenue or the DeFi revenue. But we're always going to be growing the floor price of our protocol from the beginning, basically, and from the time that we have our first property. But we're not going to be walking away. We've already done our first KYC. We're going to do another KYC before we launch. And no, the answer to that is no. We're not going to abandon the project. We're not going to walk away. If things are looking red, I mean, it's normal in crypto for that to happen. Pullbacks are normal, and we're not scared or worried about that. And that wouldn't make us abandon the project. And yeah, I'm not sure how else to answer that. That's just not happening.
Okay. Let's see what the next question is. Does that mean that DeFirm holders can have no liability? I'm guessing that's
Absolutely.
with mortgage.
Absolutely, there's no liability at all for the holders, and that's the whole premise of our ecosystem: is that it's easy, is that it's accessible, that there's no paperwork and no, the whole 9 yards that it takes to invest into real estate, putting your name on it, and all the paperwork, the agents, the fees. That's all gone if you're investing in real estate in the DeFirm way.
Okay. He follows up, Crypto Miners UK. Are there any legal contracts to ensure investors have a legal stake?
No, there aren't, and the reason for that is, again, we want to remain within regulations and not be considered a security, because that brings a whole nother layer of liabilities and risk. So as long as we remain not a security, we can run our operations just fine. And so that's why there's not going to be any type of legal paperwork that NFT holders will have to worry about.
Okay. Title 6 says, will the properties be insured?
Yes, the properties are going to be insured. Our first property we plan to buy fully in cash, at least for the first few properties. But yes, we would make sure the properties are insured. We have a we are going to have a legal team working for the LLC, a real estate lawyer who just makes sure that everything is in line with the regulations.
Okay. All right. Moving on to the next. Are you going to have one LLC per property or just one LLC total? I believe you meant one LLC total.
Yes, we're gonna have our main LLC, and then that's gonna be the mother LLC, and then we're gonna have multiple LLCs for each property, and this just really protects the asset.
Okay. Crypto Miners UK asks again, how do you intend to gain the investors' trust to support your project with all the rugs and scams which have taken place in DeFi?
Yes. Well, we're gonna be KYC'd, and we're gonna be transparent about every move that we make. We also aim to over deliver. We're not going to have any of our mints before having the properties first. We plan on just building a great protocol first and delivering on over delivering basically on what we're doing. So that time will tell, but we have no intentions of that.
Okay. And you did mention doxing and KYC. I forgot the answer. If you can just repeat that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have one KYC done with a smaller company called the Treasury right now. You can see more about that in our announcement section in our server. And we also plan on having another one before launching, just for the extra trust of the community. And we're going to be having our audit done by Solidity Finance.
Okay. Cool.
Thank you so much,
Let's see.
LeVar Burton, for helping out here.
Oh, I was sweating. We were just running out of questions.
No worries.
And thank you for
Great
everybody
questions.
that's been here. This has been a great AMA. Have you ever done a better AMA? Be honest.
I don't know. I think this might be the best one yet.
If one property gets in legal trouble, the others will be protected. That's a very
Yes, exactly. Exactly,
that's
title.
an idea that I hadn't considered, title. Very sort of devious.
Yeah, so basically, earlier there was a question. I'm not sure if you were here, Caraway, where they said, "Are you going to have multiple LLCs for each property, or everything under one LLC?" And the answer was that we're going to have one mother LLC, which is the main one established, our Dow LLC in Wyoming, and then we're going to have multiple LLCs within each state that we're purchasing properties in. And this helps to protect the asset. That's kind of like a long known old school strategy in real estate investing or
Oh,
industrial real
so there
estate.
is more than one LLC in the works.
Yes. The others, it just protects your assets. Although we're not worried about that, and we're going to be making sure everything's up to standard, and we're going to have a real estate lawyer making sure that we fall within all regulations. But however, having multiple LLCs for each property is once again just protects each asset,
Very interesting.
because you never know what'll happen, right? But we're making sure we're prepared.
Some
I
more
had another thought.
questions. Oh, go ahead, LeVar.
Sure. Now, there's a lot of traditional money in real estate. How would you compete against, say, like a BlackRock, as far as
Yeah, we're
owning?
not looking. Sorry, I'll let you finish the question. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, that was the gist of it.
Yes, so we believe that we're really bringing something novel to the table when it comes to holding both DeFi and real estate within our treasury, and kind of rotating the DeFi into the real estate and having them really support each other. It's something that's completely novel. We don't look to compete with Citadel and BlackRock out the gate. We just aim to do what we do to an excellent level and bring something new to the ecosystem. And we believe that there's a lot of value in being pioneers in the space and being early to this kind of concept of investing of really merging real estate and DeFi in this way. And so that's how we look to, stand out from TradFi.
Yeah, TradFi, they're on a completely different level, and it's not on the level, so to speak. What they're doing is beyond the pale in terms of sort of like immoral things that the average human being would never think of. I mean, because think about how they make their money with real estate. They don't even make their money by buying low and selling high. They don't even make their money by like having competitive rental rates and competing with the market. They just have so much money that they do things like buy up a bunch of properties and on the side they're betting on what something called REITs, which are real estate investment trucks
REITs.
on the
Yep.
stock market. So this is like the level that BlackRock is on. That they'll buy a bunch of properties basically at a loss, make up for it in derivatives, and then 5 years later sell those properties for a gain. Like I don't know, they're really on a different level.
Yeah.
Yeah, BlackRock doesn't make its money by like managing successful rentals or by flipping their houses, right? They're on a more
What you think?
fundamental level in the economy. They're working with the governments, they're working with
They're playing the
regulators.
game.
They're playing the game at a really high level,
They're
and
playing the game.
that doesn't mean that you can't make money in real estate. Um, it just means that you can't make money the same way they make money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, these people, they're really on a different level. Their plans are a longer term than ours. And I don't know, somebody once said, "What is the name of the game?" And he was talking about investment companies. This was a stock market guy, and he said the name of the game is survival. And that's that kind of like we're getting kind of deep here, but even a company like JP Morgan, right? um, or Bank of America, people that you think like they could never go to business, they're thinking about survival. They're not thinking about like how to maximize gains in the next 20 months. You know what I mean? They're thinking about how to be around in another 50 years.
Right.
So that's how, I mean, I don't want to speak for you guys, but that's how you outcompete these enormous entities, is by being scrappier and more agile, you know?
Right. And we're early, right? And to begin, right now we're really bootstrapping things and we're really on the early phases. But exactly, that's something that down the line, we plan on being completely prepared for. We understand that they play a completely different game. And exactly like you said, you got to be savvy. And like I said, we're growing our real estate board with specialists who understand the game and the game that they're playing. And we're going to be ready for that.
Gozu asked a question. This is kind of getting into the weeds, but he says, in legal trouble, how? Like, how does having more than one LLC protect the larger business?
Right, because that would be they would be going for that specific LLC rather than the mother LLC or the other LLCs, which the other real estate is under.
I'm sorry,
Like for that
could you
one
say that
specific
again?
house. Yes, so for that one specific house, let's say there was legal trouble. Let's say there was litigation on that house. The litigation will be made against that one LLC rather than the other LLCs which hold the other properties,
So
and so that really protects our assets.
you're saying like if the stairs to the basement collapse and the homeowner breaks his hip and he sues the company, this isn't going to result in some sort of $20 million totally devastating lawsuit.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
that's sort of is Gosu in the sometimes he
I don't believe it's in the
yeah,
others.
sometimes he comes into the chat room and he and he I don't know. He's typing right now. I don't know if he's listening or not. He might have some kind of like proxy account or something. Who knows?
Okay.
Gozu's
Maybe
he's
maybe he's
wild,
friends with
man.
somebody in the audience. Maybe he's friends with someone in the audience and is listening in.
Yeah, he's a wild man. If you guys don't know, Gosu is the um, lead man for the Waifu Nodes project, which is a project that um,
I've heard of Waifu Notes.
yeah, they're awesome. They're also he's a really outspoken front man. He's like doxed in terms of like he goes on camera with his face and speaks his mind, and I love it. I love that. I really, really do. It's
That's great. That's great. That's what you want to see in this space.
are you doxed, Archibald?
I'm the one who's KYC'd.
Gosu says, how is payment structure? Gosu, can you hear us? Come on, man. He says, rental properties don't make shit but like $300 at most in profits. So what Gosu is talking about is what most people do is if you have wealth and you want to put wealth into real estate, the best way, and correct me if I'm wrong, for an independent person to do this, a wealthy person, is to purchase rental properties and then pay a rental management company to manage that property. And if you do that, typically he's correct. You only make a few $100s per month, but you make money because you are getting a small amount of income, plus you're holding this property, which is an appreciating asset.
Right.
Um, is that what you guys are going to do? Are you guys going to hire rental companies to manage your
Well,
properties?
so we are going to outsource things like cleaners and such. And yeah, there is going to be some property management involved, especially because we're going to be investing in properties that are, in different locations. However, in the traditional way of doing things, I agree it's very slow. Like, let's say that we had long-term renters, but the reason we're starting with vacation rentals is because it's far more lucrative. You're charging upwards of 300 a night based on the location. We're aiming for high traffic locations to start with, and a lot of these locations, like for instance Miami, all year round Miami has pretty high traffic, and those are better returns than traditional real estate, on top of the revenue structures that we have on chain, of course. And so that is really our answer to that, I would say. And when scaled up as well. So that's just, we're just saying with one property, but when scaled up, it could be a lot more lucrative than you might think when you think of traditional real estate. So let's say we had an entire portfolio of vacation properties, vacation rental properties that made between 250 and $400 every single night. Then that's quite good income, I would say, just even from the off-chain side of things. And we expect, especially early on, that of things on chain will be basically generating more revenue. But as we scale up our real estate, there's a lot of upside in vacation rentals and short-term rentals.
This idea that rental properties don't make but like $300 a month in profits, this is it's only true in the sense if you are a person who does not run your rental companies at all. You this is the case for people who are paying somebody else so that they don't have to do any work.
Anything.
They don't have to do anything because this is really not true for people who actually run their own companies. For instance, um, I mean, really, what is there? Yes, yes, you're gonna have to pay somebody to come and fix stuff, especially if you have bad renters. Then it becomes
Right.
like a big problem. But this is absorbed by the cost of the rent. Um, you typically have one guy that's working on like 15 properties. It's not like,
Right.
you know, you say, are these people double dipping? Are our agent, or are they part of the deal as an investor? How can we guarantee that the deal to purchase these properties are in favor for us and not the agents? let me just try to reread this and understand. Are these people double dipping as our agent, or are they part of the deal as an investor? Can you speak to this, Archibald? I don't quite understand the question at a glance.
Are we double dipping as your agent, or or are we also investors? Is that the question?
Oh, I see what he's saying. Like, are you guys going to be taking agent fees? No, you guys are going to have your own agents. I mean, you have to have an agent in the market. You can't just like, you can't just,
It's always required to have an agent when purchasing a property, and yeah,
well, that's not
exactly.
true. It's certainly not required, but you can't go into like a state that you're not familiar with and be like, oh, here's my offer, because
Exactly.
you need to
Well, at least we wouldn't go in without an agent. Basically, especially if exactly like you said, we're investing in foreign real estate. You wouldn't just, go blind
you have
and
to
then just
understand
purchase.
the market, and if you don't, you have to hire a professional. That is sort of the way it is. And also, it is true that these agents are not like always on your side. But if you're an outsider, you're going to get a worse deal. There's a lot of factors to take into consideration. I know a thing or two about real estate, and it is a tricky
Right,
subject. Like, these agents are not your friend. However, you have to work with them if you don't
right,
know the market like really, really inside and out.
right. I wish I had Lori here to speak on this. She'd be able to speak on it a lot better than I would. But yeah, that's not something that we're worried about, and we're not double dipping as the agent.
Yeah. Oh, Gozu is in the chat now. Thank you, Gozu. I was a little confused because I felt like you were asking questions, but then I didn't know if you were hearing me. It says, are they getting loans from a bank or is this a cash deal? Go ahead, Archibald.
Cash deal to begin.
Oh, he said, I've been in this shit for a hot minute. Well, I didn't see your name. Um,
No worries, no worries. Welcome, Gosu.
he said he's been in real estate for a hot minute.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah. Um, okay. I feel like Gosu derailed us a little bit, but we are at the time. So let's do a last call for questions. If you guys asked a
Yep.
question and I missed it, just re-ask it. It was a total accident. If you re-ask it, I guarantee I'll read it no matter what it is. Um, and Also, we'd like to welcome anybody up to the stage to ask questions. That's always appreciated. Um,
Yes, indeed.
he said, "Are we still going to do appraisals?" Do you want to take that, Archibald?
Pardon me? Sorry, what was that?
He says, "If it is a
Upgrade?
cash deal, are we still going to do appraisals, and who covers the expenses?" I think he means who is going to pay for the appraisals.
Yes, well, everything would have to be funded in-house. We're going to be, once again, doing our due diligence. Our real estate board is on the ground in Florida right now, negotiating the best deals, and they're basically giving us an in-depth analysis. We don't presume we're going to need one, but once again, I wish Lori was here to speak on that. She has all the details for that. Again, I'm, the lead of the crypto side of things, but I don't assume so. However, I'll have Lori answer that question in depth, and we'll post that in an announcement just to make sure everything is clear for that.
Okay. When you say an appraisal, do you mean having somebody come in and appraise the value of the land? I mean, that must be what you mean, right, Goso?
That must be.
Somebody who comes in and says, "Okay, the roof is in this condition,
Inspector?
the wiring is in this condition, and
Right.
so we don't overpay for a property." Yeah, I mean, these are like super basic questions.
Oh yeah, procedures. No, yes, we're absolutely going to be going through all the mandatory procedures. We're not just going to be purchasing properties blindly. No.
Yeah, you have to be savvy. I mean, these inspectors, they're not all made equally either. Um, you know what I mean? Who will own the deed to the property? Great question.
Right, and so once again, everything's really going to be controlled by the team. The properties are going to be under the Dow LLC, and either myself or Lori will hold the deed.
Oh, so well, that sounds like two different things. I mean, you said that the deed will be under the Dow LLC, but then you just
Yeah,
said
so
that
yes, so
Archibald or
we're gonna,
Lori will hold the deed.
well, so Archibald is the owner of the LLC, which is myself, and Lori is on the LLC as a manager as well. And eventually, we plan on bringing on certain members of the real estate board on as managers as well. And then the LLC will hold each property. Right, we're gonna have a different LLC for each property, as per mentioned.
So how does a fractional NFT take ownership?
Well, so as per mentioned earlier on too, the NFT holders won't have legal ownership of the properties. They're not gonna be beneficiaries of each property directly. Instead, they're gonna have a proportional reward system paid out on the blockchain with the DeFirm token, because with this, it prevents us from being a security.
Actually, a follow up because there's an interesting issue that might pop up. What about eminent domain? Say, the city that you buy this property in. Well, we need this to build a road. How would you handle that?
Yeah, so with each state has its own regulations. I'm not. Hopefully, I'm understanding your question properly. But yeah, so each state has its own regulations, and the one of the priorities for us, like basically the number one priority for us, is making sure we fall in line with all state regulations, because the last thing we want is the SEC giving us trouble for anything. So is that what you mean, like basically with regulations, or
No, it's more. What would you do if the city or municipality says we need this property? You can, we can buy you out, but we're taking it.
well, if it's in the best interest of the protocol, we're always open to pivoting. Like for instance, there might be a time, even let's say that wasn't even the case. Let's say there was a big boom in an area, and it's in the best interest of the protocol to sell the property. We wouldn't shy away from doing that, and rotating into the next property. So if something like that were to take place, again, like we wouldn't shy away from pivoting, or just move, yeah, basically pivoting and moving on. If it's something where like the government is saying we'll buy you out and you have to do this, we basically would have no choice, right? That's not really up to us. We would take the buyout and move on, buy a new property, new prospective property.
Now, what happens to the NFTs associated with that property?
Yes. So, at the event of a sale, depending on the next property and the next NFT, that's actually quite a good question. But at the in the event of, let's say, a flip or a sale, profits would be distributed proportionally. Once again, we're going to be transparent with everything that goes on, and there's going to be airdrops and such. So let's say there was a good profit, on top, like on the back end of a property flip, or a property being sold, there would be an airdrop or something in proportion back to NFT holders, and then they would also basically they'd be able to, because we're also going to have an OTC mechanism for your NFT, because each NFT is pegged to the price of each property. So there's always going to be the liquidity there from each NFT mint for users to be able to swap their NFTs back at market value. Um, so in that event, that's what would take place, and then we would have a new mint for the new properties, and NFT holders of previous properties always have access to new mints as well. So that's really where that OTC function, I guess, would also come in. Let's say we're moving on from a property, you'd be able to get market value back on top of an airdrop if you're a holder. I hope
So,
that answers your question.
yeah, I just wanted to clarify. So, in the event that you have to sell a property for whatever reason, the NFT holder will get the liquidity from when they minted and what are profits from the sale.
Yes,
Okay.
because the liquidity will always be there, and that's the purpose of the NFT mint. Because the NFT mints are after the properties are already purchased, and that really gives liquidity to the on-chain side of holding real estate.
Does that answer your question, Burden?
Yeah, I'm good.
Cool.
Gosu, it just it occurs to me that while these are the most prescient questions, we have touched on these. But yeah, I love the specific example. I mean, let's say that you guys buy a property for 500K. You
Right.
sell the NFT sells out, and then the properties board determines that they get an offer for 600K, and they go, hell yeah, we're going to take a 20% profit overnight. Um,
Right.
how do the fractional NFT holders get their investment back plus the profit if this
The
scenario were to
profit.
play out?
Yeah, so in that scenario, the profits would be through a special airdrop. That like after calculating everything would be through a special airdrop, and they would be able to get their liquidity out through our OTC mechanism again. Because once you mint the NFTs, we have that liquidity for that. And so they'd be able to basically swap out their NFTs, and they'd have access to our next mint.
Yeah, Gosu is saying, like, talk about numbers. Like, imagine that you were let's say that you did 500 NFTs for $1,000 each, and I put $1,000 in, and then
Hmm.
you guys sold the property for a 100K profit. Obviously, you have to take out agent fees and blah 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 blah. But
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
let's just
Expenses.
say that in theory, in total theory, it was a profit of $100,000 after it was all said and done. What would the
Okay.
numbers look like for somebody who had put in $1,000?
Yeah, so it would be again, it would be um it'd be correlated to however many NFTs you held. So if it would be 1/1000th if there's 1,000 NFTs, or if there's 500 NFTs. Let's say there was $80,000 in the contract, or $100,000 in the contract, to pay out as a reward. It would just be based on however many you held, and again, it would be calculated after fees and taxes and all of that.
Well, I think what
And
Gosu is asking is, um, what kind of cut is the company taking for all their hard work and time? I mean, nobody's saying that you guys wouldn't
oh,
be working hard to make this deal work, but we just want to know
right.
how much, how much profit you guys are going to take and how much we can expect.
Yes. So once again, early on, like the profits are really designed to serve the protocol and grow the protocol. We're not taking anything off the top. Early on, we don't plan on really taking anything out of the protocol as much as we can. We want to give it back to the protocol and continue to grow the protocol, continue to scale. We would rather, be able to purchase our next property faster and scale our operation than, take out a big cut from the rewards. So it would be congruent. It would be like correlational to that. Like, let's say there was an excess of profits. It would be going back to the protocol. Like let's say there was like 20% that was kept, that was generated for the protocol after paying out all the investors. Again, we would probably redirect that to the war chest, which is designed to, build funds to purchase our next property. So until everything is really, going full blast, we want to reinvest as many funds as we can into scaling the property operation.
But what is the ratio between reinvesting and giving back to investors?
Right now, that hasn't been solidified, because we haven't really gotten to that stage. But we would say probably somewhere in the ballpark of 15 to 20%. and that would be going back to the protocol. But we're gonna have all of that calculated. It definitely depends on many factors. Each situation is different, but we're gonna have solid numbers for that. We haven't really foreseen a real estate exit as of yet. We're really focused on just acquiring our first property. Even.
And I'm sorry to butt in again. Can we get Gosu up on the stage? Not
Goes.
as like combative, but he seems like he has a lot of questions, and it'd be easier if we heard him audibly.
Yeah, if he wants to hop on, if he's comfortable talking.
Sure, I went ahead and invite. He says he's sick.
Okay.
He says another scenario: property is 500K and you raise 300K via fractional NFT sales. Do you put in the other 200K, or does the deal get canceled? I guess I can answer part of this. They will buy the property before they try to raise money. Um,
Exactly.
so the deal cannot be canceled because the deal has already taken place. But yeah, what will happen in terms of if you only raise, say, 60% from the NFT sales um, on a property? How does you know, I think you see
Yep,
what I'm asking
that's
there.
perfectly fine. Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine, and that just, I guess, leaves it open for the open market and more investors to be able to get in. Based on however many are bought, they're still going to be receiving rewards proportionally to however much NFTs that they're holding. And if there was an excess or a situation where the NFTs, not all the NFTs for a single house got bought up, those excess profits would just be going back to the protocol. There wouldn't be a boost for the NFT holders who are currently holding. I hope that answers it.
Could you repeat that again? I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. So basically, if there was only 60% sold, there still would be rewards for holders. There still would be the rewards for holders based on how many NFTs they hold. And that just leaves more NFTs available on the open. So if anybody found out about DeFirm Finance, wanted to get in, and there was NFTs available, they would be able to just purchase them from our protocol. And any excess profits that's not really being paid out would just be going back into the protocol.
Crypto Miner says if a property costs 300K and you had 300 investor investing 1K each, it would take a few years before people are paid back at $300 per day over 28 days equals 8.4K. And I just said, yeah, I mean, real estate is like
Yes.
always a multiple year investment, unless you're flipping, but even flipping is like either very low margins or you take, 3 to 9 months to have contractors repair everything, and even then your margins aren't huge. Like, let's say you buy a property for 150 and you put 150 in. If you were to make 450, that'd be like incredible. People typically are hoping to make like 30, 40,000, like 10, 15%.
Right. Right. And our answer to this is the reason we're really tying in both DeFi and real estate. As we all know, DeFi can be very crazy. We're not trying to be, a highly volatile protocol, but we plan on on utilizing the best DeFi functions and also paying out our investors through DeFi generated rewards. Like, we're keeping things in the spirit of DeFi. We're not a just specifically a real estate company. We're also a DeFi protocol, and we have things like I mentioned, quantum liquidity. We're gonna have buy and sell taxes. We're going to have royalties from the NFTs, different revenue structures that can also be used for rewards, not only the traditional real estate side of things. And that also helps us scale that.
Crypto Miners is commenting that before you see profit, you have to wait years for others to be paid back. I'm not sure what that means.
He means,
Certainly,
I guess, if we take a loan.
some people do have to be paid before other people, um, but I don't know. I'm not sure that's how I would look at it. Um, Like for instance,
I would-
you have to pay the plumber first, right? You can't be
right.
if work
Yeah.
needs to be done, you got to pay the electrician first.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that the investor has to wait any longer. It's just part of the
Yeah.
deal, I think.
Yeah. 100%.
Um, I think
Especially
that
when we're
we're
using house cash.
yeah, yeah, especially when you buy the property in cash. I think that we are at a good time, and we will take any more questions that come in. Um, but yeah, this is the second last call for questions, and we will try to wrap this up. And so I think we're going to do a giveaway. Um, let's see here. Uh, Ghosty was a big Shark Tank fan. I can tell. Um, so I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to take everybody that participated and I am going to, and by participate, I mean asking questions, and I'm going to use a random number generator, and I'm going to choose one person to receive a $100 of DeFirm native token. And how will the winner claim?
Just go ahead and create a ticket in the server.
Okay. Gosu says I met Mark Cuban twice. Did you ask him to promote waifu nodes? He seems like a guy that would do it.
Yeah, he loves crypto.
This was long ago. Well, big mistake. You missed out.
That's funny.
He, when he owned Naked Pizza. Okay. Do you want to, and again, we will take any more questions that come in, but in the meantime, I'm going to give Archibald a chance to, and thank you for being here, by the way. This was an awesome AMA, and I'm honored
Yeah,
that you guys
pleasure.
would come over to Fear versus Greed and do this with us.
Anytime.
Uh, and
Anytime.
and thank you for all of the audience members who was here. And but yeah, Archibald, if you want to go ahead and sort of give us some closing thoughts. Uh, and we will take questions afterwards if there are any.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you all for joining us here on the stage. It's been a pleasure to talk about DFirm and take your questions. Thank you all for the questions. We appreciate every question. It just helps us grow. Even the pressing questions, we love to see those. It only helps us become better and implement all these things. Thank you for having us. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's all I got for today, really.
Let's see here. Let's find out who the winner is.
All right. Drum roll.
Six. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Uh-oh. If it's Gosu, I don't know. I might have to regenerate it here. Um, what if I
Was it
choose?
Gosu?
What if I choose myself? I forgot to include myself. Um,
Oh yeah.
one,
Unfortunately, I think
two, three, four. Fuck. One, two, three. One.
you have to
I
reroll.
promise I'll get it this time. I promise I'll get it this time. People who are watching the video are going to be like, "What is this guy doing?" It makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. One,
Right.
two, three, four, five,
What's the number?
six. I messed it up. I messed it up. It's the max is six, and the number is two, and the winner is L Marble. It's L Marble, guys.
El Marble.
It
Well,
is.
I believe he won another one too. I believe he won the other $100 giveaway too. He's lucky.
Did he really?
I believe so, if I'm not mistaken.
Come on, he hacked my Discord.
Yes, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check here. Yep, El Marble won the other one too. So $200 in DFirm for El Marble. See, it's good to show up to the AMAs.
Yes, it is. We should have split this half between Fear versus Greed. My mistake. to my Fear versus Greed members. However, I shall not go back because that wouldn't. I feel like that would be worse somehow.
Right.
Um, he says, "I'm happy to give you half." Yeah. Go ahead and just send that over to me. No, I'm just kidding. It's fine, man.
That's so
Congratulations.
nice.
You earned it. Thank you for being part of the audience today. Thank you for taking the time to try to understand DeFirm's tokenomics and asking good questions. It's really, really helpful.
100%.
All right, and if there are no last minute questions coming in, I do see some typing going on, but if there are no last minute questions coming in, I think that's I think that's going to be it for our AMA. Did you have a good time, Archibald?
I had a great time. It's been a pleasure.
It was a pleasure for me too. Um, okay, guys, we'll give L Marble a few more seconds to get his message, and LeVar Burton as well. And if there's no more questions coming, thank you for the AMA, says LeVar Burton. Thank you. Thank you for being part of it. Al Marble says,
My
sorry,
pleasure.
slow typer. Um,
No worries. Take your time.
yep, let's give him one more minute to, I, you know, the truth is that the audience did a great job today. I would have gone all into marketing. I am so interested to hear different experiences from DeFi owners, um, their marketing experiences. I get every range of answers. Some people don't want to talk about it, like it's so secret, and then some people have
Right.
like ideas that are really worth hearing. For instance,
Yeah, 100%, 100%. It is pretty secretive, and sometimes when you do, meet certain influencers and marketers, they're like it's like you're welcomed into like a special club and like a special, they bring you into the group chats and different things like that. So I could definitely relate to that. But yeah, I wish we had more time to talk about that. It's actually been a quite an enjoyable experience for us, and we really have some exciting marketing plans lined up for down the line.
well, maybe we can do something with DreamFi. I know that we are in the dark days of DeFi. It's
Yeah,
another rebranding idea
it's a
for
rebuild. It's a
fear
rebuild.
fear versus greed. We could call ourselves the dark days of DeFi.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I wish we could have spoke on that a little bit more too about what's going on with the pullbacks and stuff like that, and we really see it as an opportunity. But I'll let you finish what you're saying.
oh yeah, that's all. I mean, it would be interesting to talk about all these things, and maybe we can have another AMA or some sort of a round table, or just a friendly, get together and talk about
100%.
the state
One
of
hundred
DeFi
percent.
and all that kind of stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, it's great to.
I think that's all for our questions, and yeah,
Sounds good.
I'll get back to you about that, Archibald, and I will have the
Cool.
link for the YouTube video extremely soon. I'll have that for you in just a few minutes. I'll
Perfect.
post that in the DFirm AMA chat box, and I believe that
Perfect. We'll post it.
Archibald will post it in DFirm as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm honored, and thank you for all the audience members. Everybody have a wonderful day.
Have a great day, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Archie. Crypto Miner says thank you. Gosu says thank you for being a sport. Thank you guys. Have a great day.